Hello, my rosy readers. Welcome back to my channel. Happy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July. How is everyone doing? Today is the Sims 4 build, or at least part of one. As you can see, the picture here that I have on the screen was the inspiration for the outside of it, and the color scheme kind of just helped give me the idea for it as well. So we're gonna start with building the build, and that's the majority of this video. A lot of my recording has vanished for some reason. I don't know what's been going on with Canva, and some of the recordings, I'll have a recording, I'll set up, and then I just lose it. So I've got to be careful of where I'm going with it and make sure I thought I had saved it. And that was the other thing. I thought I had saved it, but it looks like it didn't. So some of it did not happen. Granted, I'm not completely finished with this either. It took me a little while to figure out what I wanted to do with the inside. I'm still trying to figure out some of the inside rooms, because this is going to be a set of apartments as based on the name, the Star Spangled Apartments Part 1. If you look at the top left corner of the screen, you'll see I changed the name quite a few times. It doesn't actually start as Star Spangled. It starts as Old Glory, and then I go through quite a few different versions of the name referring to the flag on screen and off, before I finally settled on Star Spangled Apartments. So you'll hear some music in the background referring to that. The first song you heard was actually The Grand Old Flag by George M. Cohan. Very brief portion of it. I will have the full song here in the middle of this video. I'll pause to let you listen to the whole thing. And of course you will hear the Star Spangled Banner as well. So those will be the two songs for this video. But yeah, I wanted to do obviously the American flag, and I'm going to see here on this other side this star-shaped house that I already built. That one is actually called Old Glory, and that one was my first Independence Day build. One other thing about this build, real quick, you won't see it at the end of this video because, again, this was mostly just trying to figure out the layout and the part of the American flag, basically. But I do switch this around. It's no longer going to be facing this way. I face it towards Old Glory, because that's where it's supposed to be on the gallery. The picture, when you upload it to the gallery, you see it from that side of the road, if you will. So I did turn it around to that. You will see that along with the rest of the build in a separate video once it is finished. I'm still not finished with it. Like I said, it took me a little while to finally figure out what I'm going to do, because there are 6 apartments in this plus the general area. So far, I have only gotten 1 apartment set up and the outside. That's been it. I did place some furniture inside the general areas, the shared area, and I've kind of figured out what some of the other rooms are going to be in the shared area, but that one's still not finished. I have not completely finished that one, and so it definitely needs a little bit more work. So I'm probably either, based on what I already have, I might just throw together a couple of videos. Like, one video will be the 2 top apartments, and the second video will be the middle floor apartments, and the third video will be the bottom. And then maybe one more video just to show off the rest of the area. But we'll see. And right now, as you can see, I am getting the flag all set up. I actually changed this a few times because I didn't get it right the first time. Of course, I was just basing it on memory. But I do fix this also off screen, also in the footage that I lost. So, yeah, it's the 250th anniversary of America. I understand that people technically started back in Memorial Day to kind of gear up for this. I don't know if anyone's gonna just like, okay, July 4th's over, we're gonna end it now. Even though technically, while yes, the Declaration was signed on July 4th, it was not announced to the rest of the world until September 3rd about the new country. And so that's when the rest of the world was introduced to America. So that's a few days before Labor Day this year. So maybe you just keep the celebration going until Labor Day. I mean, it's the whole summer. I mean, why not? Also partially because I kind of want to keep doing it because I'm still writing the Tom Gates series. Kind of got stuck on the first book, trying to figure out one chapter. I can't work on the next chapter because it depends on how this chapter's gonna go, because I mean, granted, I probably could if I just skip this whole scene, because it's told from a different point of view, and I just skip to the next point of view that it switches to, which is in Tom Gates' point of view, and just keep on going. But also at the same time, there's also information like, okay, because Riley's here. Whatever if Riley finds out in this scene, he's going to tell Tom, and then that's how Tom will proceed with this information. So, it's a little stuck at the moment. In the meantime, I've started on the next book, which is A Clue in the Betsy Ross Flag. I'm on chapter 3. I had to pause because I started writing some articles about some movies I watched, which I will get in a moment. But the second book is moving a little further. And this is kind of in reference to some of those movies I watched as well, but some of the characters were inspired by depictions of some of the most famous Revolutionary War men in the movie 1776. And it's a musical movie and very historically inaccurate. But with that being said, the characterizations of like John Adams and Benjamin Franklin, I'm going to be kind of using some of that in The Clue in the Betsy Ross Flag, and this chapter I started writing with the characters that are based on them. It's already becoming way too much fun. It's already so much fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. So yeah, that one is progressing pretty well. And I've got cover art purchased already for that. So that one's going to definitely come together fairly quickly. So, but that's the other reason for that. If I can hurry up and figure out this issue with this chapter and Mystery of the Shallow Grave, and you can get that, Clue in the Betsy Ross Flag, and then the Paul Revere Silver mystery, and get those all done, published in the next few months, that'll be wonderful. So I'm going to at least try to aim for a July. I was hoping for a May with Mystery of the Shallow Grave, and I was kind of hoping to have the other two finished for today. But that's not happening, obviously. But eventually I will get that done. I think the part of the reason is I just needed to read a lot more. There is a summer reading program here. Well, not here per se. It's in Kilgore, Texas, and you can sign up for that any age. And I've been reading like crazy. I mean, I've only finished two books, but I've started on two more. I will eventually get those two read as well. And at least one of the books is one of the Hardy Boys books, and which is kind of appropriate for this, because that's what Tom Gates is also kind of based on, is the Hardy Boys, and that's the style I'm writing in, if you will. And it's the Hardy Boys and the Secret of the Pirate's Hill, because Independence Day is referenced. It's a very quick reference, but it's in there. So I figured I should read that. That'll be nice. Which is why I did not finish the other book, even though it is, amazing stories about space travel. It's got some interesting stuff in it, but a lot of that stuff works best with, the space series that I'm writing. Or at least would like to write. Which I gotta work on one thing at a time. Tom Gates series first. And so, coming up on this song, so I'll be quiet. And that was You're a Grand Old Flag, written by George M. Cohan, sung, sung by Billy Murray. I had enlarged my recording. Let me get that. So, yeah, I watched Yankee Doodle Dandy. That was part of the movies that I was referring to earlier. I watched Yankee Doodle Dandy for the first time. I liked it. That was fun. I had to purchase the DVD in order to watch it. I mean, not that I should complain because it's a DVD. And I like having my physical media, but for something like this that's in the Library of Congress's 100 Years of 100 American Movies list, I thought more people would have access to it. But, I guess, okay. Again, the DVDs are available. I was able to get the DVDs, so I'm not complaining about that. And like I said, I did watch it. It was good. I liked it. There are, just like with any movie, there's obviously some information that's missing because you can't exactly get everything in the movie. And some things are kind of changed, but for the most part, it was, from what I understand, it was pretty good because George M. Cohan actually got to see the movie before he passed away. So he was able to see it and give his thoughts on it. So, which was good. And then it is a musical. And the other musical I saw was 1776. I saw that for the first time, and I don't know what it is about this movie, but I've watched it several times already since I first watched it. So I just enjoyed the way the movie plays out, and I even like the music. I mean, though I will admit, the Leaves of Old Virginia's gotta be the best song ever. It's my favorite. I keep listening to it on repeat. I have it. It pops up on YouTube a lot, and whenever it does, I just click on it. It's like, I'm gonna listen to it again. I have no problem with listening to it again. So it's a lot of fun, to say the least. And then I watched Mr. Smith Goes to Washington with Jimmy Stewart by Frank Capra. And there's a few familiar faces in it. One of the reporter, well, he was the main reporter, but it's the same guy who plays his Uncle Billy in It's a Wonderful Life. And then the woman who played George Bailey's mom in It's a Wonderful Life also played his mom here in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. So I saw them and was like, oh my gosh. But I guess it makes sense. I mean, there are some directors who like working with the same actors. There's a couple who are alive now who likes to work with the same actors. And Frank Capra was no different. He worked with several the same people because some of those same people who were in both of those movies were in his movie Lost Horizons. And so I recognized them there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're here too. I remember you from, It's a Wonderful Life, even though Lost Horizon and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington both came out before It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah, because Mr. Smith came out in 1937. No, 1939. Because it was It's a Wonderful Life came out in 1947. That's right. So yeah, it was like 8 years later. Which, if you watch the two movies and you consider what happened to Jimmy Stewart between those two, it almost makes sense. Because, I mean, you think about Mr. Smith as being what Jimmy Stewart was before the war, and then It's a Wonderful Life was him afterwards. Yeah, you'd be able to see the difference, and it's just, They're very similar men, but that's, I guess you can say, the appeal of Jimmy Stewart. It's the type of man he knows how to play. Because that's kind of him. So that was pretty fun. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say fun, especially as you get closer. I mean, the beginning half, just like with 1776, it's kind of fun. And then it gets a little bit more serious as the movie goes on. A little bit more realistic, if you will. Especially Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Holy smokes. And everyone wants to complain about the media needs to take a look at that. You'll know what I mean when you get to that part in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Just trust me on that one. But yeah, so those are the three I'm now adding to my Independence Day lineup. Those movies. Because we already have Declaration. No, the National Treasure. You've got The Patriot. There's Independence Day. Obviously, everybody does that one. Which I haven't done my yearly watch of that yet. I've already watched National Treasure twice. And I'll be watching it some more, I'm sure, in the coming month because I'm going to be referencing that in my Tom Gates books. So I'm going to be referencing that. And then The Crossing. An A&E movie starring Jeff Bridges. No? Jeff Daniels. I don't, why I keep getting, it's their last names. They're both Jeff, but it's Jeff Daniels. Jeff Daniels is General Washington. I remember seeing this years back, and it is available on YouTube. And when the same thing with 1776. 1776 is available to watch with ads on both YouTube and Tubi. And I watched Mr. Smith Goes to Washington on Tubi as well with ads. Yankee Doodle Dandy was nuts. I think it was on there briefly and then was taken off, and so that's why I had to go get the DVD. But it'd still probably be a good idea to get DVDs of all of them. Anyways, so the crossing is about, well, the crossing at the Delaware River and defeating the Hessians at Trenton. And it's literally just that. It's just that whole episode. Just the few days, starts the few days before, ends the day of, and just a quick little segment about the Revolutionary War. And I watched it, and it was like, you'd think it would be, slow and sluggish, but surprisingly, it seemed like it was pretty fast. It was over before I realized it. So it was, again, with the historical accuracies in a lot of these. Granted, the Patriot in 1776 is probably more egregious in their historical inaccuracies, but, it's to tell a story, and it includes some history. And if you're interested, you can always look up that history, which I am. I've got a couple of books here that I'll be reading also in the next few months, because I've got more ideas. The ideas just don't stop. They keep on coming. So I gotta keep on reading. I think that'll definitely help with the Tom Gates series as well, because it'll give me other ideas on what to reference in the book series. Because like I said, the Secret or the Clue in the Betsy Ross flag is going to be referencing a lot of the Revolutionary War, even though the search for the Paul Revere silver is going to be mostly about the silver, and it's supposed to take place on Independence Day. But it's they're both of them are going to be having a lot of references. Paul Revere silver is going to be more referencing the beginning of the war, whereas Betsy Ross flag is will be closer to the end. Obviously, the Declaration and all that, but I mean, when you've got, the descendants of some of the key characters in the Revolutionary War coming in, you're gonna have fun with that. And like I said, a lot of their characteristics are based on the way they're acting in 1776, and since 1776 characters are historically inaccurate, I can have fun with it. So, yeah, I'm gonna play around with it. Hopefully, again, I'll get it done soon. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to have it published on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and anywhere else that direct or digital to direct publish. But we are getting to the end of this, so I'll need to end this soon. I look for another video later today. Until then, have a good rest of your day, and happy 4th.